Hi there, welcome to another chess24 Banter Blitz. It's approaching that magic time, 11:30 AM UK time. So before we get into the Banter Blitz, let's have a look at the voucher code. So the voucher code Kingscrusher gets you 15% off. So just go to chess24.com/premium, and if you use the voucher code Kingscrusher, 15% off, get to play the likes of the world champion Magnus Carlsen, other amazing grandmasters, international masters, celebrities, and even bunnies like me on Sunday. So check that out, and there's also other great perks there of premium membership. Let's go to the challenges page now, and the first challenge today is a dangerous ride. Okay, I hope it's not that dangerous. Okay, I hope audio and visual is okay. Please let me know if there's any issues as usual. And we're going to start off with a tango here. And let me... Nope, let's not mess around with Zoom for a laugh. Okay. E5. So it's a 3-minute game. And I'm already fiddling around. Great. Wasting time. Precious time. Okay, so knight g6. Okay, let's focus. Let's focus in on the board. Knight f6 hits the pawn on e4. Alright, now I have a choice of... this pin looks tasty. Why does he let me absolutely pin the knight? Threatening knight takes e4. Structural damage alert. Is there going to be structural damage here? Okay, maybe not. Knight takes an f5 spring to mind. With the idea of e4. I don't know if this is any good. Is it kind of liberational? Do I get anything from this? No. I've just realised he's got queen takes bishop. Okay, that was not very clever. Okay, I'm just glad it's a kind of 3-minute game. There might be time to do a swindle. Okay, so I'm having to resort to swindle mode already in the first game after that dubious knight takes e4, breaking all my principles of chess, active operations before castling, etc. Okay. Can I get a dangerous form pawn going as compensation? So I'm hoping for f4 and f3, a dangerous form pawn. So knight e5, queen f7, queen g6, that sort of stuff. I don't like the idea of the knight coming to e6, particularly. I might have to put up with that for a moment. Knight e6. Yep, I can be... it's a celebration cause, though. c6. Bishop e6. It's a liability in its own right. c6. When I say celebration, a sort of downside celebration. c6. d takes. Bishop takes. c takes. Rook ab8. I think c6 is possible. It is a bit of a tactical liability. Okay. Let's test that out, that theory. I hope. That's has he got bishop c4 coming up? Bishop c4. No, I don't think that helps. Bishop e6 issue. Knight c5 cd. I'm going to grab a central pawn here. There might be compensation on the way because of this tactical liability. The cruel duality of chess, that seemingly aggressive piece, can also have a downside to it. It's a tactical liability being undermined here. So bishop c4, c takes, bishop takes. Okay, Okay, I can get a pawn. This is looking a little bit better. Let's not drop b7. Okay. He's going to be winning an exchange, though. That's unfortunate. So I'm whole rook down. I'm a whole rook down. Oh well. Okay. Nevertheless, there's a lot of pawns here. There's still f4, f3 to look forward to. So e2, I'm trying to tie down my opponent's resources here. There is a key check. Let's extinguish that queen b1 check. Okay, e2 is the disconnection. If rook takes, pawn takes queen, e2 looks to be to the rescue of queen f3, e1. It looks as though the worst has passed about. The previous horrors forgiven of my blundering habits. It's a 3-minute game. These things can happen. Okay, that was an extremely dangerous ride. It was a dangerous ride indeed. Okay, I need to zoom in on the board, focus in. Otherwise, all the blunders are going to happen, as Tartago says. All the blunders waiting to be made. They will be waiting to be made. Much more if I don't focus in. So bishop a2, d3, castle and f5 standard plan is pretty dangerous, usually. So d3, queen e1, f5, queen h4, bishop g5, that sort of Grand Prix attack template plan, I'm hoping is very dangerous on blitz chess usually, in particular, quite often. Is he going to positionally massacre me, though, with this d4 square control? Can I take that d4 away? Okay, so back to operations on the king side. Maybe g4 and f5, because the g file could be opened up advantageously, a nice road to the king if I played g4. f5 seems less convincing to me. Okay, there's a downside of the diagonal I'm creating. How quickly would his bishop exploit this diagonal? If I'm getting in f5, I'm piercing through, maybe creating an absolute pin, maybe creating a road to the king. So f5 to me looks tempting here. It liberates the bishop positionally as well. Okay. Okay, so knight g5 here. We're looking at e6. We're looking at rook g1, queen h4, stuff like that. So bishop e3. There's also a positional move e5, breaking up the pawns. Bishop c5, potentially. Okay, so here, bishop e3 maybe. If I can just double the rooks, combine and win on g7, that g file, combine and win style tactics. Rook g1, rook g3, rook g1. I'm not sure e5 really does too much right now. Okay, I mean I win c5, but I think I prefer to start cutting escape squares of the king with rook g1, potentially. h6, queen h4 maybe. So rook g3, h6, there's also rook h3 maybe. This looks like a very, very dangerous position out of the Grand Prix attack. Was it Surtees or someone dominating the British chess circuit at one time with his use of the Grand Prix attack? So rook g3, and I'm going to be doubling combine and win, or batteries as they're known. officially, but I like the combine and win aspect. The battery is like the visual arrangement, you know, like arranging batteries in a cell. You've got a grid arrangement, but I'm more interested in what they're doing functionally than the visual arrangement. So I like the idea of just combining pieces and winning on key common squares. So that's the functional aspect. Okay, so e5, bishop takes c5. If he ever opens up again, there's bishop d4. It might actually have a tactical impact, this e5 move. Anytime that there's ef, there's bishop d4. So yeah, I think I'm tempted, very tempted now. In fact, I might be threatening f takes and bishop d4. Oh dear, there's bishop c6. Oh there. I've just realized there's bishop c6. Okay. Maybe f takes needs to be played anyway, or bishop d6. Okay, this is very tricky. F takes offering in exchange. h3 doesn't look too much better. Knight h3, knight e6, bishop e7. It's not very tempting stuff. I'm in trouble. Maybe knight h4, h3. Don't like the position. h4. This looks desperate. It gives the king h2 though, so I can answer with king h2. There is knight h4, knight f4. You know, maybe I can play queen takes and bishop d4. If e5, bishop e5, queen e5, knight f7 is mating. The way he's playing it though, that's okay. There's bishop d4 here, e5. That's not so much mating just yet. Bishop d4 is not doing it, or is it? e5, there's knight f7 check. I think so, actually. e5, knight f7 check, kill a common square, potentially. Okay, I don't want to run into a check here. So how about something like rook g2 for a moment? I don't want to run it into a pawn check. Okay, there is knight f7 check here. And I would be pinning that knight. And after king g7, there's bishop e5. Isn't there? Because that pinned knight is not really controlling e5. So king g7, bishop takes e5. There has been a bit of a backfire to factor into all this stuff, this diagonal. King g7, bishop takes e5. Okay, he's giving up the queen. Should I just recapture or consider bishop e5? Knight e5? I don't think so. I think I should take that queen. Alright, I can take the rook first. Yeah, I think I will take the rook first. Before queen d4, there's bishop g7. Or I can unpin here, maybe king h2. Maybe unpinning is better. Bishop g2, queen g2. The knight's pinned. Or queen d4, bishop g7. Yes. I think I like the look of queen d4. It's interfering with the rook a bit. Getting a tempo, sort of. It's going to take on G2. I think I should unpin at this point. There is rook takes G6 here. If F3, there's queen takes E5. If bishop takes D6, there's rook takes G8 mating. Rook takes G6 seems to be an undermining tactic. Okay, thanks. Yeah, got pretty tactically hairy there. All right, Bogdan. Okay. So we have this strange French defense. I'm trying to make it strange rather than bog standard against Bogdan. Bog standard. I find that funny. I laugh at my own jokes. Okay. It's not that funny. Bog standard. It's an English expression. A strange one. Okay. So rook e1. Okay. Rook e1. Queen e2. Rook e1. There might be a great gift if he castles. Is g5 really on the cards? Let's see. If he's committing to g5, pawns don't go backwards. h3, I'll celebrate the light squares. Oh, okay. I'll do this pawn move here. Queen e2. I'm going to overprotect e5. Or not. He's undermining it immediately. Okay. I have to make do with a backward pawn target. And if I use this, so I can keep the rook protecting f2. So knight e4, d takes queen e4, just looking at, it's not really threatening anything. Knight d5 isn't doing anything, just looking at these crazy moves. Sometimes different configurations just soon after, and they work. But don't think so here. Rook a e1. This backward pawn, I think, is the main target at the moment. Rook a e1. Okay, that's interesting. It is weakness creating. I think my knight doesn't mind going to h4 here. There's a hook on g6. In fact, this has made knight e4, as previously mentioned, a possibility because it's threatening queen h7 checkmate now, because the queen is not just checking, it's covering the f7 escape square because that pawn has lifted the cover around the king a little bit. Knight e4 takes queen e4 is crazy. If there was a target on the other side like an a8 rook, it would be something to consider. Knight e5 here looks very interesting and powerful, blockading that e5 point. It unveils queen h5 here. Queen h5 looks very, very dangerous. Or is it? Maybe it's the start of something, though, with h4 to undermine this structure. So queen h5, I think, here. So I'm heading for h4. If hg, queen h7, if, okay, h4, yeah. Trying to dismantle the pawn chain. There is knight g4 in this position, I've just realized. I had knight g4, I missed it. There is knight g4 here. It seems precarious how black holds on to h6, knight f6, knight h6, queen g5 after. Yeah, that looks okay. Thanks, Bogdan. Yeah, that looks dangerous. Dirks. Okay, Dirks. Hi, Dirks. As in Dirk Gently. Those the detective agency. Okay, so knight c3, e4. It's a good view on Netflix. Dirk Gently is on Netflix. I checked it out. If you like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you might like that. So anyway, is there a game here? 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might have to abort. Okay. Okay, so I'll I'm playing my Dunst opening, as I prefer to call it, the reverse tango, but I love transpositioning into Grand Prix attack territory, which maybe it wasn't their first thought usually, to go on the black side of a Grand Prix attack. Okay, there's a ready-made recipe here. Queen e1, Queen h4, f5, bishop g5. Okay, I will take with, interesting, trying to get the queens off. Naughty, I'm not accepting that. I'll accept a little bit of structural damage. Mind you, bishop a6. Am I being silly here? Bishop a6, there might be knight f2, but it's looking a little bit on the passive side of things. Maybe bishop c4 to sort of unpin this. And we're back to b5, bishop a2, b4, bishop c4. Okay, let's unpin. What am I getting from the opening though? Not much. Not much at the moment. Only a clock advantage. In the 3-minute game though, that's important. Okay, let's see. Knight e4, trying to provoke weaknesses. Or knight g5. Let's try and provoke some weaknesses at some point. Maybe not now. b4 seems, yeah. Okay, that seems annoying. Let's just get rid of that. I think I can afford that because of these double pawns. Okay. So, if I played h3 for knight e4 without f5 crushing my pawn structure, although that's another weakness. No, he's not going to play f5. Surely not. Just knight g5. That would be a disaster to play f5. Oh. Okay, if it takes knight g5, I've got f7, I hope. Fascinating. I've got a disconnection tactic, potentially knight d4. He's got bishop d4. Maybe knight e5 here is good. So I'm threatening knight f6 or knight d6, disconnecting the rooks, or an disconnection, interference, whatever you want to call it. Knight d6. Disconnection, interference. Is it worth it? It might be worth it. If rook h3, there's rook f7. Interference tactic. Okay, let's look at f7 for a moment. Parry the second rank threat of rook d2 with rook e2 for a moment. And take it from there. I think if takes queen f8 is checkmate. There's a backward pawn target. If I double the rooks, e5, Maybe queen g2. I think these pawns are leaving weaknesses behind, even if they come forward here. Okay, so they're going to come forward or not? Okay, can I try and open up a line? If I played queen e3, just to try and simplify, with queen e5 coming up. Alright, so queen e5, this should be a nice endgame in theory, but I've had a lot of trouble in the past being the exchange up, so I wouldn't count on it. I can undouble my pawns. Okay, so c5. Okay, I've got a 2-to-1 pawn majority. That looks nice. Okay, nice 2-to-0 pawn majority. Okay. Protect these guys. Okay. Drag this up. Alright, thanks, Alan. Yeah, interference tactics, yeah, it's they interfere. Okay, oops. Alright. Let's see, so the tango here, this critical line, queen f6 I'm quite comfortable with, in theory. Or in practice. There is the Miles line, anti-Miles line, bishop e4 check, but a French grandmaster has used queen f6, even though, okay, it takes away a square from the knight. It's setting a trap all the time. Bishop g5, knight takes and queen takes. If knight c3, c6, it's an issue with the queen here being a tempo gaining target for knight c3, knight d5. But on knight c3, if I played c6, it seems fine. If he plays knight e5, I'm tempted to heal my structure without leaving a backward d6 pawn. I mean, I want to take d takes e5. So knight c3, consideration, key consideration, c6, stop knight d5. And another one here, d takes, I think, not have a pawn target. So we have this position which the tango declined. Stop the use of bishop g5. This queen is a tempo gaining target. I can start to develop pieces, I hope. Okay, I'm going to fix this even if there is f4. Okay. Even if there is double pawns, I think there's some dynamic potential. I want to lock down on f4 if given the opportunity. With knight g6 later. He'll be threatening mate in 1 there. Okay, I'll castle here. Alright, so b5. Take away a c4 square. Fascinating. My knight's out of useful squares at the moment. Looks rather awkward. Maybe b6. Maybe rook a7 to d7. Potential downsides of white's position, abstractly, I think d4, rook a7, d7, d4. Not anything too concrete. There's queen d6 as well to factor in. Fascinating. If I just play bishop a6 for a moment, I think my pieces are really out of squares. He could play queen d7 and rook d6. Alright, let's just do this very awkward looking move, but maybe b4 is useful at some point. I just need to somehow develop the pieces into better squares. This knight is stuck. Can't see anything wrong with the white possession at the moment. That's very annoying. I could play f6 and hopefully bishop c8. And rook f7. Now rook a7, knight c8. Rook c7, knight c8. Oh. Things are getting nasty. Okay. It's official. There might be... Oh, crikey. Is that g6 or is he simplifying everything? No, no, no. It can't double yet. The bishop's controlling d7, right? If I unpin for g6 later. Oh, anyway, there was rook c6, yeah. Okay, but there's also knight. Okay. No. Nope. This looks rather awkward, to say the least, given that there's rook c6. I give up c6, I think. Just try and get some potential later. I'm in Zugzwang. There's a breath of air for a moment. Two pieces is not usually a good thing. Okay. What does he do if I don't do anything? Is he just simplify down? Yeah, he's got a tactic to simplify down. Ouch. Oh, this is sadistic. Oh. Tactic, bishop g4, rook c8. Cheapo. Nope, no cheapo. Is there knight takes f5? I thought you could just simplify down anyway. He had a simplifying move. Okay. E3. Crikey. I can't do anything. I cannot do anything apart from try and win on time, I'm afraid. And even that's going to be tricky here. Okay. Well played. I was really done over there positionally. I just had zero counterplay, it seemed, out of the opening. I might need to check that out after. That was a very unpleasant. I think there was a knockout simplification just to take everything out and very quickly win that. Without further ado, yeah. I just only saving some rated points. Terrible game from my but brilliant game from the opponent point of view. I don't think I was given much counterplay. In all honesty, I don't think I could have. Yeah, I need to. That looks like that is one of the scarier lines. Oh, I shouldn't say this. That is one of the scary lines of my research of that opening. That instead of falling in with the tango, just to play d takes e5. It's one of the more annoying lines. Maybe that's why it's not such a popular opening as black. It could be. It's one of the lines, yeah, I'm having difficulty with. Okay, so if I take, or is there anything better? This looks like a phonetic pawn break. Can I do this? If takes, maybe rook takes. So it's a sort of undermining removal of the defender. If bishop f6, I don't think I'd mind if I get that dark square bishop. If there's double pawns as compensation. I've got bishop d4, queen h4, rook e5, that sort of thing, maybe. There seems to be a lot of dynamic compensation. In fact, bishop c3 for rook e2 needs to be factored in. Okay, so rook e5, rook, not h5, but rook e3 is also interesting. Rook e3, bishop f5, rook h3. That sort of stuff is getting interesting. Or just simply bishop e5 here. No. Threatening killer common square. h2. Without any defensive knight on f3. These soft spots are softer. h3. Bishop h3 looks like annihilation or demolition of the defense. By the way, sorry, if you wonder why I'm using a lot more tactical words than usual, I might be working on a tactics course. You might have wondered, why am I using all these tactical concept words? Yeah, I've been investigating them recently. In fact, just earlier in the morning, at about 8 in the morning, I was investigating a Capablanca game for for Zwischenzug. I was investigating a Capablanca game earlier. This amazing Zwischenzug game, they didn't have the terminology. Even 100 years later, they still didn't have the terminology for Zwischenzug. It's fascinating. It's Tartago against Capablanca. Tartago just played bishop takes b8, and instead of the recapture of a queen a4, Capablanca played something else as Zwischenzug move, knight e5, knight d5 for any. Anyway, there's another story. Bishop g2 here, bishop g2, queen h2, queen g. Isn't this mating, bishop g2? It does look like demolition of the defense. I mean, shouldn't this work? I mean, even in principle, shouldn't it work? If I don't calculate it, shouldn't it work just in principle? I mean, the king's coming up the board. This is not a good sign usually, statistically, right? Okay, so bishop d4. Is this discovered check and checkmate or not? Is there some escape squares I'm missing? Okay, no, it's checkmate. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so yeah, I'm investigating all the tactical terms. So if there's any tactical terms you want to know about, please let me know. Okay. I may be able to answer any tactical terms you want to ask about. I've probably researched recently. Okay, or mating patterns even. I'm starting to look at mating patterns. Yes. So h3, knight ge2. There are a huge variety of mating patterns if you're not aware of. So I mean, you've got the basic mating pattern variety, which for most games is sufficient to sort of know about, I think. You don't need to know about the more esoteric mating patterns. So back row mate, smothered mate, support mate, which is not mentioned usually, but it's the basic one, in my view, support mate, or common square mate, as I like to think about it, where you just have a common square cooperating with pieces to checkmate. But yeah, the esoteric mating patterns. Oh, h4 is dangerous. Am I getting... He's trying to hack me to death, this guy. That's really unfair, isn't it? h4 is dangerous looking. h4. Can I get away with f4 in time? h4, f4, h4, f5. hg, knight g3. Am I getting blasted on h3? It's possible. f4, h4, g4 is more likely. No. I'm shielding. With f5. h4, f5. I'm shielding h3. I think you only need to know 4 different types of mating pattern for most games. Back row mate, smothered mate, support mate, and there's another one. Back row, smothered, support, i.e. common square mate. And there's another one. And I think there's another one. Okay, but anyway, I've been looking at the Arabian knight is a bit of history though. The more ancient one where the rook is supported by the knight. It's fascinating. So f5 here, just trying to shield h3. Okay, what would he play on f5? This looks natural to play f5. Okay, I know I'm getting sort of in trouble if I ever take that. Okay. It seems a very violent, direct attacking style my opponent is using. I am the Kingscrusher. I do not want my king crushed. I crush the kings, not the other way around. So here, I mean, I hope, that's the case in general. So c3. It is uncomfortable. Can I just control d4 for a moment before something really nasty happens? like knight d4. Okay, it's like that, is it? Okay. b4, is black's attack continuing? What about bishop f3, just offering peace here with these bishops? And unpinning. Mind you, I've just weakened my control of the d5 square by doing this. So he's got d5. That is a bit of a concession, to say the least. d5, queen c2, am I crumbling? Bishop f3, rook f3, d5, queen c2, d takes, damage report. He's got queen d1 there. Queen d1 threatens something. Oh, not bishop g1 yet, not queen g1. b3 for bishop b2 to evict the queen. I like king g2 for rook f1 to evict this queen. Oh, I'll have to take. b3 for bishop b2. And this is anything better. a4 for rook a3. King g2 for rook f1. Maybe king g2 for rook f1 seems a bit better. Keeps the rook out of f1. No, I don't know if that's a bit slow. Oh, I'll try it. It might be a bit slow. I might have just allowed, okay, something, mind you, okay. Mind you. Rook e1 looks dangerous. Oh no. I think it's better to get rid of, because he hasn't played that. I think I should try and get rid of one pair of rooks here and then worry about this pin later. I think he had rook e1. This is a very uncomfortable position. I hate to speak it, but yeah. Okay, he's played it. He's at least got a perpetual here, right? Or worse, there's rook f2 happening. So I've essentially lost that piece. There's no knight g1. I've essentially lost the piece here. Oh! So I just want to lose the piece in the least painful way possible. Maybe that's knight f4 to try and get a pawn. There's bishop e3 after. So in fact, I should just try and... No, it looks absolutely diabolical. No, it looks there's nothing. b3 for bishop b2. If rook e1, b3, I suppose, because otherwise rook e1, bishop e3. I don't know why he's not speeding up now. Alright, I have to play this for bishop b2. F bishop e3, bishop b2. Right, is this a winning pass pawn for him or something as well? I don't really want to give him a winning pass pawn as well. I mean, I think I've given him enough favours in this game already. Okay. Mind you, my king, if I got a potential pass pawn, I'll try this. Maybe I've got a potential pass pawn. Oh no, as mentioned, I've given him... I have given him another favour. Okay, great. Set the knight. Oh, I can't stop that. I can only hope to win on time. Or not even that. Win on time, did I say? I think I mean draw on time. Sorry, I'm so naughty. That was horrible. What is this about today? What is this? No counterplay games. I got no counterplay out of the opening. What's going on here? I need to check this out. I find this intriguing. Okay, d4 maybe. d4 in the opening. Here. Bishop g4. Wow. This is quite the move. It's quite the move, bishop g4. My intuition was saying f4, f5, but this bishop g4 is a spanner in the works. Well played. That opening, yeah. Crikey. Okay, this looks like a comfortable Benoni style position. Benoni, one of the favourites of Mikhail Tal, in peak popularity in 1960, when Tal became world chess champion. I think Benoni was at the peak of popularity because of him as the world champion exponent. So these Benoni transpositions, they're interesting. So, okay, a6, b5, there's the classic queenside pawn majority here. Maybe I can play for this. Okay, I'm weakening c6 a little. Okay, there's check, which is usually interesting. And just reroute the knight maybe to c5 here. Knight d7. And this knight g4 is interesting. No, I think this looks okay for the moment. Knight c5. then maybe the pressure on e4 can be accentuated with b4 and knight takes e4. So knight c5, b4, followed by knight takes e4. Okay, I'm without my fianchetto bishop at the moment. Or fianchetto, as I used to like saying it. Queen takes and then b4. Doesn't that just win a pawn nearly? Or am I going into nasty pins? I'm probably going into nasty pins. But I might have b3 first, you know, to try and crush that bishop a little bit. Oh, there is knight takes d6. There's 2 pieces for the rook. Otherwise, there's knight e4. Okay, is he going for 2 pieces for the rook? Knight d6 takes. But if he doesn't, you know, if bishop b1, knight e4, I protect d6. And if bishop takes, rook takes, I'm hitting d4. There's no knight d6. If rook e1, you know, I think there's f5. Okay, so I'm on d4, which ties down this knight. Okay. So in this situation, I've got a 2-to-1 pawn majority there. Knight f6, rook e4. Well, there's rook f4 as well. So just rook f4 for a moment. He plays g3. There's rook f2. The rook's not trapped. If he plays rook e7, well, there's things like knight e5, which cover against knight e6 check if he wants to exploit the pin. Knight e5. Okay, that d4 is hanging. Right, so here there is rook f4. You can win a piece back with knight c8. Okay, I'll let him. Let's go with that pass pawn potential c3. So knight c8, rook c8. Okay. I assumed. Okay, let's just push this pass pawn potential forward. Knight c8, rook c8, rook d7, cb, bc, b2. This looks like a winning pass pawn here. The classic that came from the opening. The imbalance came from the opening. The classic Benoni 3-2 pawn majority at work, culminating in dangerous pass pawn. All right, thanks. Dangerous, right? So, let's see. So, okay. Let's see here. Try Mexican defense. All right, it's been suppressed. Okay, Nimza Indian transposition. Okay. I think I will take here and then e5, threatening e4. Okay, I'll stop the pin and try and have a blockade strategy in place on queen e7. Alright, so a nice blockade strategy, if I can do it, would be knight a5, but I suspect he's going to play c5. So is the knight out of place on c5? Maybe it's more flexible here to play knight b8. I would like to play b6, and then maybe a5, knight a6 to c5. Okay, I thought he would use c5. This suppression of the double pawns is interesting. If I have d6 vacated, there's knight e8 to d6 with pressure on e4, which means f5 later is more effective. So knight a5 to c5, welcoming this for knight e8 to d6. This looks like good stuff, basically. If he tolerates the knight on c5, well, okay. Let's see. A nice blockading knight on d6. Okay, can I play knight h7 to g5 here? Still play for f5 anyway, given I've got the pressure on e4. Okay. It looks as though this is nice, queen e8 to g6. I like this maneuver in general. It reminds me of one of the Fischer-Spassky games, where he played his queen to g6, putting pressure on the center. Okay, I think I can do this. Knight takes take. You can take the things off. Maybe I should take on d3 for knight f6. It looks like a nice pin. If I play king h8, there's no check if he wants to unpin. So knight f6 without this being check. Pressure on e4 looks unpleasant here. I can win a pawn. Okay, I think I will win a pawn because it's en route to c4. Okay, so knight g5 here is interesting, or knight f6. Which one? Knight f6 to h5 looks interesting for knight f4, more interesting than knight g5. It's not really, hasn't got a follow-up on g5, it seems. So I think knight h5 for knight f4. This looks rather desperate. What's that about? I think I will take that. So I really want to play, well, now I'm threatening knight d5. I suppose, you know, c4. Well, that fractures his pawns. Okay, so f3 is, there's knight f4. This looks like a very bad endgame scenario. a4 is now weak. Past a pawn will be a winning asset here. King coming to the center if needed. So king f6, king f5, etc. Improve the position. Rook a2, drag the pawn down. This is my asset here, this outside passed pawn. So a4, a3. Okay, getting ready to queen. There's a check. Queen. Take this guy. Right, thanks for the game. And excellent. Okay, FIDE. Oh, we need more game challenges. Anyone wants to challenge today, please do send the challenges off. Definitely beatable if you want to send your challenge off. Okay. Okay, so bishop g7, if I castle, knight e8. This looks like a King's Indian style position. And the usual pawn break I might want to be interested in is a6 and b5. So rook b8 and b5. And still playing for b5. In this position, I think I am interested in playing for b5. Brings back memories. The ledgers in a pub in one of the British Championships, they were telling me, consoling me of my King's Indian. I think maybe I drew or I lost, and they were telling me, you know, just play for b5. I remember that. And Andrew, Steve, and Davis ledgers telling me about the King's Indian secrets of b5. Okay. So here we go. But has it really helped my position here? b5. It's sort of, maybe there's a b3 target, bishop c2. Maybe it has bishop c2. On g4 would be weakening his king as well. Bishop c2 is a threat. Bishop c2. Bishop c2. Okay, let's. No, that's pointless to suppress that. There's knight g3. e6, is that mostly pointless? There's g4 again. Mind you, in time I play e takes, he gets a form pawn potentially. Oh, okay, it's nasty stuff. I don't know. No idea. Okay, what do I do here? Crikey. I'll go with something. Allow knight g3. It's annoying. Let's try and suppress g4. It's a concession. Okay, so e6, maybe. e6. Keeping my king safe-ish. Or not. Knight takes f5. Okay, ed, knight d6. Still without too much play here. Ah, come on. Okay, if I played rook b7 just to keep this rook out of a7, just in case that's going to be an issue. Oh, great. I'll just blundered the piece, haven't I? Or rather, he's won a piece. He won a piece resourcefully, really. Is there chances to go for the king? I have to get this out of the way. Maybe rook b3 in the circumstance. Hitting that knight at least, trying to get some counterplay before it's too late to do anything. There's d6. This looks really crushing. I think I'm doomed here. Okay. There's king h6 if needed. So is there queen b4 then? Oh, I'm getting mated over there. Is there rook e7? And queen f4. And have an escape hatch. g5 planned. So rook a8, this is crazy. Queen f4. Queen g8, king h6 with the idea of king g5. Rook h8, king g5. This is unpleasant. But there is one or two checks on the horizon. He's not immediately going in for rook a8. Interesting. Rook a8 seems tempting though. Rook a8, doesn't it seem tempting? Okay. Oh, dear, oh dear. Incisive player, piece up. This is strictness. This is strict thinking. Trying to find that irreversible damage move where I'm so damaged it's irreversible. Ah, okay, okay. So rook a8 is on the cards with queen g8 with a vengeance. So if I want to stay on the board, I've got to fend against rook a8 here. Queen takes. Well, there's all sorts for him. He's a piece up. I might as well go with queen takes as a sort of battery. Uh-huh. All right. G5 maybe to pierce open dark squares is something to consider. The check and queen somewhere. He's got queen f8 check. That's a snag. Maybe fg. Yes, I think that's it. Wait, well played. Oh, I thought I was wriggling a little bit. No, not enough. Okay, no, well played. That was impressive, actually. Not immediately playing for rook a8. That was nerve to find those irreversible damage moves instead. Very, very good. Yeah. Okay, so bishop d2, queen c1. Okay, pawns don't go backwards, so maybe the light squares here can be celebrated. Knight h2, knight f5, that sort of thing. I have played this before, this kind of knight h2 business. Trying to get control of g4 if this happens. Knight h2, knight f5. Knight f5 threatens knight g7. Anyway, that has to be parried. Is it castling? Castling. or costing somewhere. So knight g4 coming up, or maybe g4 just to try and reroute around this e4 square. If I can reroute around the e4 square, like that. Mind you, he's got e4 coming up. I might need to play f3. Okay. Then knight f1 to g3 to e4. Okay. I'm hoping this isn't a destructive attack. Oh, it's pretty aggressive. I suppose, you know, simplification was an option there. This is a skewer, isn't it? Reverse pin. Skewer is like a reverse pin. Did you know there are two types of skewer? A relative skewer and an absolute skewer. Basically, like pins, you know, relative and absolute. You can have the same for skewers. It's just like reverse pin. And you, according to Wiki anyway, I don't know if they've made this up, but there's apparently a relative skewer and an absolute skewer. Yeah. I was not really discerning about my skewers until recently reading this Wiki article. You know, I feel enlightened by Wiki sometimes, Wiki Chess. I don't know who's writing it, some secret committee or something. It's very enlightening. I admit it. Wiki somehow, when they talk about chess with great authority, it really is amazing. I don't know. Did you guys know about relative and absolute skewers? Did you? Be honest. Okay. King g2. Queen e3. Let's simplify. Or not. Let's not simplify. What I like to do is a queen c7 and rook e8 tactic to finish this game off. But there's always these pesky checks all the time. I'm not going to get that tactic in, am I? What about rook c5? Okay. Sweden skewer. Okay. Sorry, that set me off, Sweden. I've been looking at all sorts of tactical terms. Okay. Is that an absolute or a relative Sweden skewer? The mechanic. Actually, you can have also a third type, which I'm sure applies to all. You can have a partial pin, right? Which means you can have a partial skewer as well. It's when, you know, a partial pin is when they can still move the pin piece along the line. Yeah. No, I like to check this out a lot recently. Sorry. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I don't know. Instead of saying species, I think I prefer to say sometimes, you know, intermediate move or intermediary move. I know, using two words sometimes, because it sort of implies to me an intermediary thing. But the more you look into it, especially if you're on IT, I think there's another way of looking at these visions. If you're in IT, I mean, it's like a transaction flow. You know, when you capture and they recapture, it's like the intermediary move breaks the normal automatic transaction flow. I think I was trying to sort of internalize it a bit actually earlier, because I've been looking at these tactical terms. So when you do an intermediary move, it's like the normal routine transaction flow, which we're accustomed to, of recapturing pieces is interrupted. And if you look at it, a lot of those times when that can be done, where you don't need to recapture, the opponent's usually got downside issues, like, you know, loose king. Maybe you can, like in this Capablanca example, you can threaten to fork their king queen instead of recapturing, so breaking that normal, you know, transactional flow. A lot of these terms, yeah, I've been investigating them recently, and actually one of the more enlightening ones was the clearance. I thought, clearance? What exactly is clearance? And it's simple, really. You're just clearing a piece out of the way. You're just clearing a piece out of the way. One of your own pieces might be obstructing another piece. So you want a queen to go to h5. You've got a knight on f3. Just stick it on d4 so you can play queen h5. So you're just clearing pieces out of the way. I think a lot of them are, you know, I think internalizing all the tactical terms as much as possible is a handy thing to do, yeah. But as for the mate patterns, I just don't believe you need to know all the technical mate patterns. I think most mates at this speed are basically, you know, support mates, back row mates, or smothered mates. But yeah, yeah. Any tactical term you want to ask me about, either this week or well, in the next 9 minutes or next week, please do. You know, please do. I really. Okay. So. Okay. I don't know if you guys prefer to say, when you're thinking about positions, Zwischenzug or just intermediate move, what do you prefer when you're thinking about a chess position? Do you feel you're going to make a Zwischenzug now or an intermediate move? I mean, what do you think? It's just funny they didn't have a way of describing that move. If you look at this Capablanca game, that's also I find interesting. When you have an era, you've got these annotators struggling to call these moves something interesting rather than just clever move or finesse move. So they're struggling and they don't have that word Zwischenzug or intermediate move or anything. So I find that kind of fascinating as well. So knight f7 check is threatened. Oh wait, mate threat is threatened. Mate, it's not a laughing matter to be threatened with mate. It's not funny at all. It's not amusing. I'm going to emphatically defend G2 now, just in case. I have to defend G2. Just in case in the last 16 seconds I get mated. That would be so embarrassing. Just emphatic defense of G2 here. That's hanging. That's a hanging piece. Do you know the difference between a hanging piece and an unprotected piece? A hanging piece you can take straight away. An unprotected piece is just more like a status. It's not protected by anything. So yeah, I'm getting into the distinctions very, very carefully recently. You know, Okay, so another 3-minute game. This is a little bit hemmed in, this bishop, isn't it? It's a little bit passive. I hope. Okay, that's the one I didn't really... I was a bit cautious about that happening. Okay. Maybe knight f7. Okay, I got backwards c7, pawn liability. Okay, I understand. c7 could be the subject of torture. Okay. And it is immediately the subject of torture, as predicted. Okay. Anyway. Strategic bishop exchange. Weakening the dark squares. Maybe bishop g4 coming up. Well, there's always knight d3. Okay, there's knight d3 if he creates a weakness of the last move. Knight d3. Mind you, g4. Okay, weakness of the last move. Is that like knight f5 or that nasty pin? And if I just protect that, as the things get worse. I hope not. Oh no. What am I doing? What am I doing? Is that, for example, knight f5? Okay, he has interrupted d7 and pins that. So in fact, there's a tactical backfire with g6. Chess is 99% tactics, isn't it? There's tactics everywhere. Okay, so there's knight takes and then g6. There's no knight h6. Okay, so which rook is better to take here? E1 or c1? Yes, an interesting one. Yeah, I think e1, because then he hasn't got the battery available for battering down my 7th rank. E1. I go for e1. Now this g6, try and exploit the pin, relative pin. Not an absolute pin, a relative pin. It's all relative. Okay, oh, there's another pin here, okay. And there's bishop e6, there's king h8, okay. He's in the game still, he's in the game. He's in the game. He's controlling c8. The exchange down, it doesn't matter. Oh dear. Doesn't matter, these exchange down. Okay, queen b7. There's queen c3, king g7. Queen c3, king g7. I have queen b4 coming up. Okay. Queen b6, there's... or queen b4. This looks unpleasant in some respects, this rook c7 business. Yes. That covers c7 anyway. If queen c3, king g7, but at least he won't have queen rook c7 coming up, which is the scary thing as far as I'm concerned, this rook c7. Try and reduce the number of scary things going on. Maybe rook b7. Okay, there's a scary h5 coming up. Okay. Queen h5. Killer common square. It's not a fancy mate, but it's just a killer common square. You see, a lot of these mating patterns, you just have to say killer common square instead of that list of 30 different mate patterns. I'm not going to go through a list of 30 different mate patterns during a game. Does this look like Arabian mates? No, no. Okay, anyway, so... okay, I think that's it. Yeah, check out the discount codes. The discount code, Kingscrusher, voucher code, or discount code, synonyms, synonym, voucher, discount, Kingscrusher. No, it's the voucher code is Kingscrusher. chess24.com/premium, 15% off. Check that out. Thanks for the games. I had Could have been more than about 4 losses. Could have been this week. I know I'm mean to you guys. I don't resign. Sorry about that. But you got to, I'm training you to finish me off quickly, yeah? It's good training for Blitz, yeah? Because this isn't increment Blitz, so I'm training you guys. You've got to be ruthless. Quick and ruthless, yeah? Okay. Thanks very much. Have a good weekend. See you next week.